and today we got to play Colt Express for our Western Wednesday. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you like board games, and that's the point. All right, Robert, tell us more about this game.
So, Colt Express came out in 2014. Board Game Geek gave it a rating of 7.1. Designer, obligatory apologies for mispronunciation here, Christophe Rambeau. Artist is Ian Peroval and Jordi Bueno. Publisher is Ludinot. And then MSRP is $39.99. But you can find cheaper versions either through your friendly local game store, Geek Market, several different versions of the game out there. Lots of expansions too. We didn't play the three that Randy Miranda's got, but there's even more than that out there.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how to pronounce these?
No, it's all right. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's why I said the obligatory apologies.
Yeah.
Saves time.
So let's talk about quality of pieces. So you have this beautiful cardboard train.
It falls apart very easily.
Well, it does fall apart very
Well, it's not
easily.
meant to move though. It's kind of cool for what it does.
Yeah, I will say bringing this three-dimensional, like you also have the cactus that are on the side. That just is super cool, and it adds to theme very, very well. So even though they are cardboard put together stands, it definitely brings in theme
honestly,
for me.
I don't remember a game before this that really did it like this game did. With that
agree
3D
with you.
element. I think this is one of the first ones that really kind of pioneer a 3D element.
Well,
to
that
the
and then the
Did Flick 'em Up come after this?
yes.
I think the game over Saloon Tycoon was another one that.
Yeah, but I think it came out after
This came out before.
This is
This came out
2014.
Yeah, I just wish they would have made the train cars bigger so you could get your hand in there.
That's true.
Because every time I knock everything
it's
out.
inconvenient.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
It's
still,
for
it's
us
still super
fat-fingered
cool.
people.
Yeah, but as far as eye appeasing goes, this is beautiful. Cards, linen finish, relatively good stock. We did sleeve them though because there is a lot of shuffling involved. Every single hand you have to shuffle. And then you have.
The player boards.
I'm kind of bummed that the money bags and the gems are actually cardboard chits. I understand that they had to place a value on them, but
They could have done wood and put a value on it just the same.
yeah. So
Yeah, but
that
for a 2014 game, do you think they were really kind of doing that a whole
They
lot?
had some wood pieces. I mean, we've got all the games in that age range that have wood.
yeah. So that's a little bit of a bummer aspect because they.
I
Did,
think if they could have, I don't mind the cardboard chits as far as that because they do need to be small and easily be able to get in and out. I just wish the player boards were a little bit.
yeah, the player boards.
I don't know. I mean, honestly.
Well, I don't even know what the point is. Oh,
Yeah,
I
Just
just
to
wrote.
place your cards.
Yeah,
to
you
tell
put
you
your
what you're
bullets, your
going.
decks, and your
And to
stuff out.
store your gems and such when you get them.
Whoa.
I didn't even use it for that at all. This game. That tells you how much use that was
Right.
for. Nothing. So overall quality of pieces, guys, because of the way the stagecoach or the train is, I'm gonna have to give this a 7.75. Like, it's beautiful, and this was the first kind of game to really do this, and I think
Yeah, I
that's
don't know if
fantastic.
it's the first. I just can't think of anything before it. So.
Well, it's one of the first.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fantastic what they did as far as visually and art appealing. For theme there, it's going to get a lot of points there. But as far as quality of pieces, it is kind of shaky. It does break apart. You do have to put it together and back out again. So I'm going to give it a 7.75. And it's strictly because of almost for the theme of this train. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think I'll give it a higher score for theme versus component quality.
Yes.
So I think I'd give it a 7 for component quality, but theme is going to be much higher.
Yeah, I agree. Yes,
Are we
exactly.
gonna do that number separately? I don't remember.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did the
Lost
numbers
that.
separate.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
this
we did
is
that.
just components.
I agree with Randy with this just wasn't big enough. My hands are little. I have like child-sized hands, and I still had a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, because of the lack of functionality, I mean, I like the look of it, but the functionality of it is a problem for me. I'm going to not go with it quite that high. I'm going to give it a 6.5. I think I would have given it more had you been able to reach into it, though. And the fact that the pieces come apart very easily when you're
It's
putting
really
it away,
bad.
getting it out. and the cardboard is already bending on one of the cars just from connecting it. I mean,
I wasn't here when y'all put it together. Do these store in this form?
they
or do
have,
you
yeah,
to put
no,
it
you don't
together
have to
every time?
disassemble
Yeah.
it. They store in
Okay.
the box. They made the box so, but it's very tight. They fit in the box, and that's it.
Yeah, but even as you're picking them up and taking them down, some of
They're,
them are
they're
pretty
kind of
loose.
flimsy.
Well,
So-
I know it was 7.5 then.
So 7.5. Okay.
Yeah.
if you had to take them apart every time, I don't think this would get to the table.
Yeah.
So,
So now let's talk about theme. Theme, this is where this scores in. The fact that you're on a stagecoach, you're trying to grab loot, you're trying to avoid the sheriff. This is pretty heavy in theme, and this is very integral. Plus the little like sidelines, and then the expansions. You actually have what's
Well,
that?
the coolest expansion is the DeLorean.
Yes, that's
Back to
it.
the
That's
future.
it. That's what I was thinking
So,
about.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got,
Oh,
and you can
fun.
actually use the back to
Yes,
DeLorean.
it's one
And
of
then
those-
there's-
we have
Yeah,
one of
it's
those-
It's a
in
mini
one of the
expansions,
boxes,
one of
yeah.
the boxes.
Yeah, and then like you have horses that you can actually get on the horse and get off the horse, and like all that stuff's added on, and I think that is like super cool. So theme wise, I think this one is actually
I
really
think this
great
is the
theme.
only Western we played so far that's actually featured a train robbery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just good. You know, it wins points for originality compared to all the other Westerns we played. This is the only one. Now, it's strictly focused on that aspect.
Right.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. We've had some that are more broad, scale. This one is very focused, specifically, kind of like Bang was very focused on the shootout. This is very focused on the train robbery.
So guys, let's give theme a score though.
Well, I'm going to go pretty high, and one for multiple reasons. One, the stagecoach just looks fantastic, thematically fits perfectly. The fact that you're trying to steal money, loot, fits the theme thematically. I mean,
The
perfectly.
fact that there's a shootout,
Yeah,
you punch people,
you can shoot and punch people. The art is actually pretty darn good on the cards. So I think I'm going to rate it a 9. Thematically,
This is where this shines.
yeah, gameplay not as high, but just for thematically, it's just super good. I can't give it less than a 9. It's
I'm not
awesome.
sure
What are
where
your
Rob saw a
thoughts?
stagecoach at, but yeah,
Or,
apart from that.
yeah. No, because it's right there.
Oh,
It's in stagecoach.
it's in the
Yeah,
expansion.
it's in the expansion.
I think 8.777.
Solid.
Is that like repeating to infinity?
Yeah.
Of
And
course.
on.
Like a train out west.
I do agree with your 9, and as far as theme goes, this is pretty heavy for just the train
Mhm.
robbery aspect, especially when you introduce those expansions. It really even brings out more of that theme.
I don't know about. I mean, you guys probably don't watch. I don't think Randy does at all. He's not a Western fan, and as far as movies, but playing the card, I can envision going up the train and down the train, in between the cars. So that's why
Alan
one
would have
size
liked
like
this. I wish
Yeah,
he had
it does. It's very much. It's,
I'm thinking more of the old serials when I'm playing this game
Yeah.
because of the fact the way the cards integrate into this. It reminds me of the choppiness of the old serial westerns that were black and white and shootouts going on, because it's rapid pace and you think you're doing something and it turns out you programmed it completely wrong because people are in other locations. And I like that aspect of it.
it's like the humor westerns.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
there's a sheriff, and then
But
run
this-
back
exactly.
out. And like,
He tied her up, and then
I think the only thing missing then is the girl tied up with
Exactly.
rope on the train track.
And
So
Snidely
that would be
Whiplash
perfect.
curling his mustache.
I feel like that's an expansion coming.
It might be.
It might be an expansion that's coming over that we don't have. What was your score?
I'm probably with you on a 9. I think it is a very strong theme on this. As if you focus strictly on the train robbery.
All right, so moving on to rules. Rules are
It's a
pretty
huge rule.
Yeah. So first, right. So
Yay,
centerfold is a giant centerfold.
Negative points there from Randy.
Yeah, I do not like
He
centerfolds.
doesn't like centerfolds.
That said, the rules are pretty straightforward. It's
I wonder if
such
there
a
was like
simple
a-
game.
it's called a trifold. No, centerfold is something else entirely.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if there was like
You
a bar
get your
winch.
jollies how you get them. I get them how I do.
I wonder if there was a bar winch in the middle of it, like a true
Maybe that's the
centerfold.
one that they will tie to the train track.
Maybe.
So I mean, it's kind of hard to mess up a game that's this simple. But I mean, this does a very good job explaining each action. It's got all the actions detailed. It's got all the end cards detailed on the back. It'd be nice to have a cheat sheet card for it. That's the only gripe, I guess, beyond the centerfold is the fact that it doesn't have a card next to it.
Do you really need one?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the iconography because otherwise you have to refer back to the book for it. And I
I disagree with that because I was able to understand everything. and
Because
really
I
paid
told
attention.
you what the cards meant. If you didn't have me telling you what
Oh,
these
for
were
the
doing-
events? Okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but you don't need cheat sheets for every single player for the
No,
event.
you need to. It'd be nice. I mean, you've got the icon on your thing. If you didn't know what that meant, every one of you asked, "What does my guy do? What does my guy do?"
Oh, there should have been a written
Exactly,
description
there's no
down
reason.
here.
But that's what we got you for.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, I don't need cheat sheet.
Well,
It would
if I
work,
weren't here, you would have had to read the rules.
and I would have been okay with that.
Well, I would much rather.
I just don't think a cheat sheet's really.
No,
necessary.
now, as far as having your player power right here, that probably would have been nice.
Yeah.
the player
But-
power and
but-
I think the end icons.
But my
for the
butt's
card.
not.
No, I don't
peppering
think- I
for
don't think
that,
you need
so
those.
It's
I
all
do.
right.
All right, what was your score?
I will give it a 7.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So moving on to actual gameplay. So the game is actually pretty straightforward. So you have a deck of train cards, okay, and you flip them over, and they tell you what pattern that you're going to create with your cards. So in this particular instance, it's one face up card, one face down card, two that it's going to be played together, so the actions are going to take simultaneously, and then one face up card. Okay, so with that being said, you draw your hand of 6 cards unless you have a player ability that allows you to alter that. And then...
And the game is too short for you to add or subtract or how many cards you take.
Yeah,
It's just over too fast.
yeah. So, so whoever's the first player places their first up-facing card, and then it goes around the table, and then the next card, which would be the down-facing card in this particular instance, would be played next, double, and then last. And then finally, after everyone plays their cards, then you flip them over and play from that deck. So it is a programming game. So some of those actions that you'll have is moving from car to car. There is a little bit of difference, though, if you're on the top of the train versus the bottom of the train. If you're moving side to side and you're on the top of the train, you can move as far up or far down as you would like in one direction.
Just don't go too far; you fall off the train.
Well, there's that. However, if you're on the car train, you can only move one space, okay, with that particular card. Then you have the move up or move down. So this is one card, and you can either move, if you're in the train cars, you can move up to the top, or if you're in the top, you can move down to the bottom of that same car that you're located in. One of the other cards is actually the shoot action. So if you're on the top of the train, it can shoot anyone, the closest person to you, or the closest car to you can be shot. And if you shoot the person, you hand them one of your bullet decks, and this basically
It goes into your deck and
It's a
clutters
filler.
it.
so yeah, it's a filler card. That's the word I was looking for. It's a filler card, and so it junks up their deck, so they have less actions to choose from, or they may have to spend their action to gain additional cards for them to be able to move forward into play. The next one is the fist action. So instead of shooting them, you're going to get in a fist brawl, and you end up dropping their loot, if you
Because you hit
will.
them so hard.
Yeah,
They have,
But you
drop
get to
stuff.
choose what loot they drop, so you can have them lose the most expensive loot that they have. And if you play it right, maybe pick it up right afterwards, which is the next card that we're going to talk about, is the pickup card. So you get to pick up something that is on the floor of the train or on the floor of up here. Because sometimes when you
If you punch somebody.
at the top, then there's stuff up there
I
on the
wish I
top of
could
the
find a
card.
train where they left all their money.
All right, and then the
Mhm.
last card that we're going to talk about is the sheriff card. So the sheriff card allows you to move the sheriff one car in either direction of where it's located. So if the sheriff moves into a car with somebody else, or even with yourself, because that's happened to me before, not this particular game, then the sheriff will give you a shot card, which is a filler card, and then you move to the top of the train. Sheriffs cannot move up, so they only move from side to side. The thing about this is if you play a card, you have to use the action. So sometimes you are forced into an action you did not want. Like you may have to move into the car with the sheriff, or you may have to move the sheriff into you. Or you may end up swinging a miss because the player that was originally there ended up moving. So that action has to be taking place. So at the end of the game, after everyone acquires the loot after so many rounds, you will add up your loot value, and whoever has the most wins the game. You won this game, didn't you? Yeah.
So a couple things to note is that you got asynchronous ability. Each person has their own ability.
Yes.
Which what makes them unique because the decks are exactly the same.
Yes. And they're actually pretty unique abilities. So like one has 7 cards that they're allowed to draw. One, like my character, you couldn't shoot her if there was someone else that you could shoot at. And then
someone else in the room.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
If there's another option,
Yeah.
that you could take, you were supposed to take that
And
option.
if I shoot somebody, it moves them to another car.
Yeah.
Yeah, moves them back.
And my character was able to shoot through the roof.
Yeah.
Either down or up.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those different things can happen.
And there are 2 other characters in there, and I believe there's more characters in the expansions.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. Overall, this game, it is a programming game. It has great theme to it. I think this is okay. I think it's a short, good little filler game that has a lot of theme to it. I'm actually probably going to rate this probably about a 6.5. It's good. It's solid. It's just not something I typically play unless I want a good themed game. What are your guys' thoughts?
No, I think it deserves better than that. I mean, personally, I don't like this level of game, but that I still can appreciate it. You know, I mean, and there's a great app for this on iOS and other, you know, downloadable services. But you know, as far as just the uniqueness of this game, I have to give it credit for that. I think it's probably an 8 for me. It's not something, you know, I play very often because it's just I'm not into the lighter games that often. But when you have the right crew, it's fun. You know, I like programming. I like the fact that, you know, I love the fact when you punch and shoot things and they're not there, and it's just you feel stupid. But you know.
What are your thoughts?
I think this is a great gateway game.
Mhm.
So I'll go higher than you because of that. And give it an 8.25. 8.25.
Okay, what about you?
I think I'll go 7.5. I think it's a great filler game, but again, it's a little too light for something I would want to play on a regular basis. So, you know, once every
When you have a
year, once a
game.
year or something like that, or as you mentioned, maybe as an introductory game. So if you have a large game day and a bunch of new players, this would be a good game.
Well, it's also pointed out
But it
it
doesn't happen
plays up
very
to
often.
6, so
Yeah,
you
which
can.
is pretty nice.
Yeah.
That is a good benefit. This does play with some of
So-
the larger crowds, so that's also a huge benefit to this game.
But I think it's a solid game. I think it's a 7.5. It's
Yeah.
well played.
No, I definitely think this is a solid game.
It's very simple. The play is very simple. I wasn't even
Yeah.
paying attention and I won.
Yeah.
Is there any way you would win and pay attention?
The only way that I win and pay attention is when I realize y'all aren't paying attention to me. You're trying to beat each other and you forget I'm there because I usually don't win. What?
Well,
I don't either.
yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully we'll catch you guys again.
We want to wish Miranda a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, DragonMother.
She makes our whole group better.
I keep you guys
Wow.
like,
Don't say that to her. Now she's going to have a big head.
Somebody needs to level out the whole Randy big head thing.
Our heads will collide.
Especially with cowboy hats.
Ka-gunk.
oh my goodness. Yeah. All right, guys. Bye. So, Robert, tell us more about this game.
So, Colt Express came out in 2014. Board Geek.
Let's try this again.